Hello friends, welcome to this online series of lectures on Industry 4.0. So in this particular lecture, we are going to learn about the current state of Industry 4.0 worldwide. So different components of Industry 4.0, where they are at present. We will look into the market situations, market size and market share of different components of Industry 4.0. So let's start with the session. So let's look into the revision of the topics which we have discussed so far in the lectures. So starting with the concept of Industry 4.0. So what do you mean by Industry 4.0? It is the intelligent connections between machines and processes. Interconnections is there between machines and processes. Why do we interconnect these machines and processes within the industries? So that we can get the data out of it, right? We can analyze the data for the predictive analysis, predictive monitoring, right? And this is done with the help of information and communication technology. We also discussed about the history of Industry 4.0. It started with the first industrial revolutions, or you can say with the invention of steam engines, right? That was the first industrial revolution, which is also known as the mechanization, right? Then we also discussed about the second industrial revolution, which is also known as the electrifications with the invention of electricity, right? The work together done by Tesla as well as Thomas Alva Edison, and electrification, worldwide electrifications was done, power grids were developed, and that was come under the second industrial revolution. And assembly lines were also developed by best example is Ford, right? Ford assembly line. It was developed in that second industrial revolution only. Then we have third industrial revolution, which focused on the automation with the invention of the PC technology, right, as well as the PLCs, programmable logic controllers. This industry developed, right, and together as a technology, it was known as the revolution was known as the third industrial revolution. Talking about the present era of fourth industrial revolution, it started in around 2014 in one of the Hanover Fair, where German experts they decided for the strategies to get the upliftment of the German manufacturing industries. Right, together they form the framework to develop and to become the leaders of the manufacturing arena. So that is nothing but the cyber physical system, where you have the interconnections of the cloud computing as well as the physical devices, and the whole system is the cyber physical system, interconnections between the devices with the help of the cloud computing, right? Or you can say it is digitalization era. Right now we are in the digitalization era. So we discussed about this thing previously. Then we also discussed about the pillars of the Industry 4.0. Specifically, the if we talk about, there are multiples of the, you can say, the components of Industry 4.0. The main focused ones are these industry 9 pillars, right? Starting with the cybersecurity, simulation, system integrations, Internet of Things, big data, extended reality, which includes augmented reality, mixed reality, as well as virtual reality, together as in the umbrella term of extended reality, right? We also have the cloud computing, additive manufacturing is also there, which has another name of 3D printing. So all of these technologies are the key components of Industry 4.0. Then we also discussed about the design principles of Industry 4.0. 4 basic principles, design principles of Industry 4.0, on which Industry 4.0 framework works, right? It is needed, it is much needed requirement for the Industry 4.0. The first and the foremost one is interoperability, or you can say the standardization of the connections between the devices from the cloud computing as well as the physical devices, right? We have the decentralized decision making is there. If you have the, let's say for example, machinery is there, say for example car mobility is there, the car or say the machineries, they can self-optimize, they can decide on their own what is best for them, right? That is the decentralized decision making with the help of this Industry 4.0 technology. Then you have information transparency is also there. What do you mean by that? Is that from the physical world and the virtual world, virtual copies of this physical devices, you have the information exchange without any loss, without any data loss, right? So that you have the exact twins of this physical world, or you can say the physical environment in which this Industry 4.0 is working. That is nothing but the information transparency. And then you also have the technical assistance. Let me give an example of technical assistance, where you have industrial robots, or you can say the collaborative robots, cobots in short. What they do is within the assembly line, they help the workers to get the complex task done. They assist the workers. So these are nothing but the collaborative robots, or you can say cobots. These are basic principles, or you can say act as an principle for technical assistance within the manufacturing scenario. So these are some of the four principles of Industry 4.0. We have already discussed this in the previous lecture. Now, talking about the growth size of Industry 4.0, present status of Industry 4.0, it is increasing, right? Almost exponentially worldwide. And if we see here in the graph from the market size 2017 to 2023, almost it is $310 billion worth of market size, right? Comprising of the connected devices as well as the Industry 4.0 technology. So in short, it is growing exponentially worldwide. Let's look into another scenario where you have the BRICS nations, right? These BRICS nations are where you are focusing on BRICS nation as well as the nations outside this BRICS nations, right? Specifically Brazil, Russia, China, India, likewise. So Japan, USA, and China, they all have well-developed Industry 4.0 framework within them, right? If we talk about India, India is far more behind for the adoption of this Industry 4.0 framework. They are catching up, no doubt, but they are still lagging behind the leaders, world leaders like Germany, US, UK, and Japan. Or you can say the Korea as well, South Korea, for example. Here in the graph, you can say they are specifically India, right? in terms of this manufacturing, let's say, for example, it lacks here, right? Research and innovations in this area, they are lacking, right? So all these areas, if we talk about, they are lacking, right? India specifically. And if you compare it with the USA, the world leader in Industry 4.0, and specifically Germany, if you see here in the graph, uh, if this pie chart, they have the well developed framework for the Industry 4.0. So let's talk about the top 10 trends of Industry 4.0 right now in 2021. Starting with the artificial intelligence, which comes at the top, right? It is the big buzzword right now, and a key core component for the big data analytics, right? Which is one of the pillar of Industry 4.0. Top three ones are artificial intelligence, augmented and virtual reality, and you have the connectivity between these devices and the this cloud computing world. Then let's look into the network readiness index. What do you mean by network readiness index? This index compares the development of the different countries based on an index which is developed, a model which is developed based on the harmony between people and technology. Now, how do you measure it? There are four pillars, or you can say the four components, main components are that which are categorized into people, technology. If you see here, people is there, technology is there, governance is there, and impact is there. And out of this, there are 12 sub pillars, 12 sub components are there. These components, sub components are used to measure the network readiness index between different countries, and they are given ranks. So let's look into the detail about this network readiness index. If we talk about NRI, you can say network readiness index, the first country, right, the first ranked country is coming out to be Sweden, which has the best harmony between people and technology. In this country, it is very easy to develop Industry 4.0 framework, right? Very easy to implement Industry 4.0. And in fact, if you see here, Denmark, for example, they are already working on this renewable technology as well as the Industry 4.0 technology. But let's talk about India as well here. But India is coming at around 88th position, very much behind in this race of network readiness index. Talking about implementation, how ready is within the harmony between the people and the technology, right? India still lags behind, but still India is a developing country, right? So India is catching up on this implementation, or you can say adoption of Industry 4.0. Again, we already talked about these nine pillars of Industry 4.0. We will look into the market share of each and every component worldwide. So starting with the IoT market size, it was estimated by three companies, well-known companies as Cisco, IDC, and Gartner. And and if you see here, Cisco is positive, or you can say optimistic about the figures. with estimated market size of almost $1 trillion market of IoT worldwide will be there with billions of devices. Here it is estimating almost 50 billion devices, right? That is by 2020, means end of the last year. So it is definitely growing, right? If you talk about the figures, talking about the cloud computing arena, Amazon is the leader worldwide with almost 33% of share, right? And the next close one is the Azure, which is from Microsoft only. Then we have Google. So all these three companies are the world leaders if we talk about the cloud computing market, which is worth $100 billion, right? Also, again, it is catching up. All you can say with the development of Industry 4.0, adoption of Industry 4.0, it is going to move or grow exponentially. Industrial robotics, a key component of you can say the robotics, advanced robotics uh, of Industry 4.0. Specifically, if we talk about the advanced robotics arena, or you can say the section of Industry 4.0, almost US dollars $77 billion market is there by 2020. And here, if almost 80% of the market share is originated from the industrial robotics segment only. There are different robotics segments are there, right? Specific industrial one is there, retail robots are there, you have the medical robots is there, are there. So specifically industrial robotics have the very good share of almost 80%, and 47% is coming from the Asia Pacific region. Almost half of the market share is coming from the Asia Pacific region, which is comprising of India, China, and all. And fragmented market is there, and key drivers are the robot hardwares in this area. Talking about the augmented and virtual reality market, specifically the big market is in the video games. If you see mobile phones, they are this Apple, for example, Apple ecosystem as well as the Windows ecosystem, they are developing HoloLens. For example, Microsoft is developing HoloLens. Apple has also integrated AR kit within their iOS system, where you can see the LiDAR sensors in their top model devices, iPhone 12, where these sensors are provided for this kind of reality experiences, virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality experiences. Again, the major market is covered from the video game if you see in this graph. Talking about the big data market, if you see here by 2025 it is going to be around $230 billion market, right? And Asia Pacific region and American region almost they will be coinciding almost 50, almost half of the market will be covered by them only. So US and Asia Pacific regions they are going to lead the market of big data analytics. So let's look into the additive manufacturing market, specifically the metal additive manufacturing market. Here, if you see the market size, it is growing to again by looking at the graph almost exponentially. Total market size is going to grow almost exponentially, right? Almost $42,000 million. If you see the graph here, it is in of $1,000,000 on the y-axis. It is $41,000 million will be worth the market size of the total additive manufacturing, which is comprising of the hardware, for example, materials, services, and software. So again, see this technology, additive manufacturing technology is not new one. It was invented around 60s and 70s, but as a component of Industry 4.0, it is slowly and steadily catching up with some of the very good, very precise benefits, right? We have very shorter prototyping cycles in additive manufacturing. The companies are realizing the benefits of additive manufacturing or rapid prototyping. And talking about the cybersecurity market, it is worth almost $290 billion by 2026. And it is comprising of the financial services, banking sector, industries, where they are providing the cloud computing services. They have to have this kind of cybersecurity inbuilt within the information technology, or you can say the internet services, so that customers they can rely on these kind of services, specifically the cloud computing services offered by Amazon, Azure, Google, right? So it is the business is worth 290 billion. The market value is there by 2026. So until now, what we have discussed here is the previous lecture key points where we discussed about the concept of Industry 4.0, the pillars of Industry 4.0, 9 pillars of Industry 4.0. We also looked into the principles and history of Industry 4.0. And then we focused on the present current state of Industry 4.0 worldwide, where India is standing worldwide, right? In next lecture, we are going to focus on India. How is India preparing for the Industry 4.0? But talking about worldwide, only few countries are Industry 4.0 ready, starting with Sweden, Denmark, right? USA, China. China is catching up as well. China is the leader in Asia Pacific region if we talk about Industry 4.0. So that's all from my side. In the next lecture, we are going to talk about the India's preparedness, like how India is preparing for the Industry 4.0. Till then, thank you very much. Goodbye.